The fall of Babylon, when the walls of the world's greatest city trembled before Cyrus the Great, and well, the course of history changed forever. In the heart of Mesopotamia there once stood Babylon, a city that glittered like a jewel in the desert, with walls so thick that chariots could race along their tops, with gates of bronze that towered above all who entered, and gardens so wondrous that later ages called them one of the 7 wonders of the world. Babylon was not just a city. It was the pride of empires, the symbol of human ambition, the place where kings dreamed of immortality through bricks and stone. It was here that Nebuchadnezzar II had once ruled, conquering Jerusalem, exiling peoples, and building monuments that touched the sky. The city was thought to be impregnable, its walls a barrier no army could breach, its rivers a source of endless life, its temples sanctuaries to gods both feared and adored. Yet no city, no matter how mighty, could resist the tides of history, and Babylon would learn that its walls could not save it when the Persians came. In the mid-6th century BCE, a new power had arisen in the east under the leadership of Cyrus II, the man later called Cyrus the Great. Born among the Persians, he rose to overthrow the Medes, unify his people, and launch a campaign that would sweep across Asia, swallowing kingdoms and cities into his vast new empire. Cyrus was not just a conqueror, he was a strategist, a leader whose reputation grew with every victory. His army was disciplined, his generals loyal, and his ambitions limitless. Babylon, the crown of Mesopotamia, was the ultimate prize, the city whose capture would declare Persia the master of the known world. In 539 BCE, Cyrus marched on Babylon. The Babylonians under King Nabonidus were unprepared, for the people had grown discontent under his rule. Nabonidus was a strange king, more interested in religious reform and building temples to the moon, God's sin, than in governing wisely. He had alienated the powerful priests of Marduk, Babylon's chief deity, and the people murmured against him. When Cyrus advanced, he was not seen as a mere invader, but as a possible liberator, one who might restore order and favor the old gods. The walls of Babylon, however, still stood, and they were said to be insurmountable. Herodotus, writing later, described them as hundreds of feet tall and so broad that 4 horse-drawn chariots could ride abreast atop them. The Euphrates River flowed through the city, providing it with water and making a siege difficult, for the inhabitants could grow food within and outlast any enemy. But Cyrus, cunning as ever, devised a plan that showed why he was called Great. He did not batter at the walls, nor did he try to starve the city. Instead, he turned to the river itself. His men dug channels to divert the flow of the Euphrates, lowering the river until it was shallow enough for soldiers to wade through. On a night when the Babylonians were celebrating a festival, feasting and drinking, the Persian troops slipped into the city along the drained riverbed. The mighty gates that opened onto the river were left unguarded, and the army poured in. By the time the Babylonians realized what had happened, their city was lost. There was no great battle, no heroic last stand. Babylon fell quietly, almost silently, betrayed not by the strength of the enemy, but by its own complacency. So, the people greeted Cyrus not as a destroyer, but, as a savior. Unlike other conquerors before him, he did not loot or burn the city. Instead, he entered with respect, offering sacrifices to Marduk and proclaiming freedom for the people. The priests who had despised Nabonidus welcomed him, and the ordinary citizens, weary of tyranny, saw him as chosen by the gods. Cyrus declared himself not a foreign usurper, but the rightful ruler, and in doing so, he secured the loyalty of Babylon with astonishing speed. The fall of Babylon marked a turning point in ancient history. It signaled the end of Mesopotamian dominance, for never again would Babylon rise as the master of empires. Instead, it became one jewel in the vast Persian realm. an empire that stretched from the Indus River to the Mediterranean, from the mountains of Central Asia to the deserts of Egypt. Cyrus's conquest showed that brute force alone could not win empires, but cunning strategy, respect for culture, and wisdom in rule could hold them together. The story of Babylon's fall has echoed for millennia, not just because of its dramatic capture, but because of what it symbolized. That no matter how high the walls, no matter how mighty the kings, no city is eternal. Human ambition builds wonders, but time and fate tear them down. Yet in the fall of Babylon there was not only destruction but also renewal, for Cyrus's policies shaped the ancient world in ways that endure even today. His empire became a model for governance, his respect for different peoples a lesson in tolerance rare in the ancient age, and his memory one of the few conquerors remembered not only for victories, but for mercy. Thus, the night when Persian soldiers waded silently through the river into the heart of Babylon was more than a military victory. It was a moment when the torch of history passed from one civilization to another, when the city that once claimed to be eternal bowed before the vision of a new empire, and when the world began to understand that the mightiest walls cannot stop the flow of rivers, nor the tides of destiny, nor the march of a man who was called great.